It would appear that we're about to serve up some dinner with Hungry Burger. We're going to have Buster Blader for you, and yes, Spellbook Dogmatica, and much more as well. I'll be like 30% of you that have not smashed the loving crap out of that subscribe button. Smash it so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. We're going to be looking at the, Nouvellez archetype here and give you the chance to serve up a Hungry Boiga for your opponent. Now, I love what this archetype tries to do. The problem is it just kind of misses the mark in terms of support. Hopefully, the next couple of rounds of support that we actually get for this will push us a little bit more over the edge, hopefully, here. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, either one Cyber Petite Angel. Triple copies of Diviner of the Herald with one Droll and Lockbird. We have triple Maxi with one copy of the Begriller. We have one copy of the Balmanuri. God, I'm so terrible with these names. We have three copies of the Level 1, triple copies of Ben 10 with one Hungry Burger, and then we have three copies of the Level 3 Ritual. And then, of course, we have two copies of Called by the Grave, triple copies of a Table. God, this card is actually super good for the deck. We have triple copies of Pre-Preparation Rites with triple copies of Preparation Rites, two copies of the Fish Recipe, one copy of the Meat Recipe, and then we have triple copies of Here Is the Menu. Then we have one copy of the Cook's Recipe and one copy of the Chef's Specialty Recipe. Then down here in the extra, we have the one Almirage, your one Unicorn, your one IP, your one Dynamond, one Boral Sword with one Axis Code Talker, one Kanzashi, one Zeus with one M7. Then we have two Herald of the Arclight, one Baron with one Excel Stardust, and then two copies of Anintis here, wrapping up your Nouvellez. Interesting take. Next up here is, yes, this is Buster Blader. Yeah, I mean, what Buster Blader deck isn't attempting to play the Fallen of Albaz stuff at this point? Like, the Fallen of Albaz stuff has actually made this deck, I would say, a lot more consistent, honestly. Obviously, Buster locking your opponent is still trying to be one of your primary objectives, or at least, setting up walking, talking, no fun allowed friend here. So we have one copy of Albion, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring, two copies of the classic Buster Blader with triple copies of Buster Whelp. We have one Baldrake with one Druis Worm with one Magna Hut. We have two copies of Snoraneer, triple copies of Fallen of Albaz, one Ghost Ogre, two copies of Guiding Quen, with two copies of Incredible Ecclesia. We have triple copies of Maxi with one Bysteel Lubellion. We have one Branded Fusion with triple copies of Brandon and High Spirits. We have one Brandon Red with one Thrust. We have one Blazing Branded King with one Destruction Sword Memories, triple of Impermanence, and triple copies of Prologue of the Destruction Swordsman. Then down here in the extra, we have one Striker Dragon with one Heavenly Spheres, your one Chaos Angel, because this card is so good. Two copies of Buster Dragon, two copies of Titani Cloud with two copies of Mirjade. We have one Guardian Chimera with two copies of the Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, one copy of Albion, and then two copies of Albion, the Branded Dragon. Then, of course, we have two Droll, triple Jizukuru, two Nibiru with triple Cosmic Cyclone, one Feather Duster, two Lightning Storm, and two copies of Raigeki here, wrapping up your Buster Blader special. Now, do keep in mind that in terms of developments for this deck, like I said, I think the best way to really consider playing this here is, the Bysteel package, the inclusion of, the Fallen of Albaz stuff here. Definitely works out relatively well. Next up here, we have Spellbook of Judgment Turbo. I still love the fact that they moved this card to 2. One of the highest risk cards in the game, putting a Jowgen on the field, having protection for said Jowgen. The only difference is, the field spell is just super slow. You're not going to get any value off of it like you would in the previous formats here. But in terms of how this deck still wants to play, the Dogmatica base gives this deck some consistency. You get a walking, talking Floodgate, and then extra deck resources in the form of, whatever you need to here. It's actually pretty straightforward. So we have triple copies of Ash, Blossom, and Joy Spring, triple copies of Incredible, just regular Ecclesia. We have two copies of Dogmatica Fleur-de-Lis the Knighted, two copies of Maximus with one Effect Veiler. We have one Jowgen with triple copies of your Maxi, one copy of Shaddoll Dragon with triple copies of Spellbook Magician of Prophecy. We have two Called by the Grave with one Instant Fusion, your one Monster Reborn with two Nadir Servants, your one Spellbook of Eternity with your two Spellbook of Fate, two Judgments, still can't believe this, full power. We have triple Spellbook of Knowledge with triple Spellbook of Secrets, your one Spellbook of Master, And then you got 2 Punishment and your 1 Schism. Down in the extra deck, you get the 1 Selene, with 1 Crowley, with 1 Artemis, with 1 Axis Code Talker, with 1 Wind Pegasus, 2 copies of Titanic-clad, 1 Thousand Eyes with 1 Millennium Eyes, 2 Inits, 1 Winda, 2 Winda, 1 Construct, and 1 App Clone. And then, of course, got the 1 Chaos Hunter here, 1 Pankratops, 2 Turtles with 1 Ariel, 2 Cosmic Cyclone with 1 Arby's Feather Duster, triple Shaddoll Fusion, 2 Dimensional Barrier, and 2 copies of Evenly Matched here. Wrapping up, how much can you turbo through your deck? Spellbook edition. All right. Yes. So for those of you that's recently kind of seen like the TCG version of this deck come up, you know, with the whole Fairy Tale Luna Kaiju deck, this is an idea or a perception of what the OCG version of this deck looks like. Now, keep in mind that, I mean, they obviously have triple sec as light. Must be nice, OCG. And then, of course, you know, the Smoke Mosquito down here ends up being one of the cute little additional cards that this deck kind of gets to mess around with in terms of its resources. So it's just rank A turbo, effectively, with some Fairy Tale Luna control. It's not as like crazy as it actually looks or sounds on paper, but it is still a cool deck. So we have triple copies of Alpha, the Master of Beast, triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring. We have 2 copies of the Wanting Moon. Hey, this is a free tuner monster for the deck. We have triple DD Crow, triple copies of Bigfoot, 2 copies of Thunderbird with 2 Dimension Shifter, 1 Pankratops with 2 copies of Effect Veiler. We have triple copies of Fairy Tale Luna with triple copies of Ghost Ogre and the Snow Rabbit, triple copies of Gizmacarochi with 2 copies of the Divine Carnate. We have triple copies of Maxi with 2 copies of Retaliating Sea, 2 copies of the Swage de Fleur, and of course, yeah, best card, honestly, in the deck is the Sekka's Light. Down there in the next trick, we have 1 World Goddess with your 1 Zeroboros with your 1 Selene. We have 1 Dahark with 1 Dragublion. We have 1 number 90 with 1 number 84. We have 1 Seven Sins with 1 number 38, 1 number 100 with 1 Zeus. We have 1 Dingrisu with 1 Psyche and Punisher, 1 Full Armor, and 1 copy of Baron de Fleur. And then, of course, we have 2 Chaos Daedalus, triple copies of Denko Rekka, 1 Doggeron, 1 more Divine Carnate with triple copies of Nibiru, 1 Retaliating Sea with 1 Swage, and triple copies of Smoke Mosquito here, wrapping up your Rank Turbo 8 Luna deck. Next up is Vanquish Soul. We've been following this deck for quite a little while now. I continue to be, like, amazed by how this deck actually has turned into such a cool monster here. Thank you, Small World. Yet another fantastic deck for this to see play him. So we have triple copies of Ash Blossom and Joy Spring with your 2 DD Crow, 1 Doggeron with 1 Effect Veiler, 1 Ghost Ogre with 1 Divine Carnate, triple Maxi with triple Parallel Exceed. We have triple copies of Dr. Madlove with triple copies of Heavy Borgar. We have 2 copies of Kaiser Varius with 2 copies of Panthera, 1 copy of the Pluton HG with triple copies of Soul Rosin, 1 Rhoda with triple copies of Small Rome, triple Stake Your Soul with 1 Talents, 1 copy of Vanquish Soul Continue, and 1 Soul Dust Devil. And then we have 1 Trinity Burst. Down in the next check, you have the 1 Splash Mage with your 1 Security Dragon, 1 Almirage, triple Rock of Vanquisher. We have 1 Nightmare Unicorn, 1 Phoenix, 1 Heat Soul with your 1 Access Code Talker, 1 Rebellion Dragon Overlord. We have 1 Baguski, 1 Zeus, 1 Xyz Dragon, and 1 Dweller. Then we have triple copies of Droll Knockbird, 2 Space Rock with triple Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Dimensional Barrier, 2 Evenly Matched, 1 Red Reboot, and 2 copies of There Can Only Be One here. Wrapping up your take for the power of Vanquish Soul. And then last as we have here is some Lightsworn love. Everybody loves the charging milling power, some free wolves, and then of course a very small tier elements package in here. As well, I also love the fact that Gold Bulb is a good card. So we have 1 copy of Agido with 1 Zephyros Elite, 2 Mothman with 1 Jackalope, 1 Destrudo with 2 Fairy Tale Snow, 1 Gold Bulb with 1 Jet Synchron, 1 Fenrir, 1 Kelbeck, 1 Keldo, 2 Lumina, and then 2 Twilight Sworn Lumina, 1 Mudora with 1 Trick Clown, triple Raiden with 1 Beast, your triple Tier Elements Cashtiro with 1 Shayrin, triple Wolf, triple Charge, 1 Foolish Brill, 2 Foolish Brill Goods, 1 Raceloth, 1 Paralenio, 1 Secret Village, triple Charge, 1 Terraforming, and 1 Solic. And then we have 2 Selene, 1 Saruja, 1 Rapidocus, 1 Lina, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, your 1 Dahark, 1 Access Code, 1 Rongo Bongo, Bamboozling, Minerva with Dugaris. And then we have Abyss Dweller, your Quantum Dragon, and Chaos Ruler. And then of course we have triple Maxi, 2 Nibiru, triple Dark Roll no more, triple Forbidden Droplet, 1 Feather Duster, 1 Thrust, and 2 copies of Evenly Matched here, wrapping up your chunk of OCG goodies for this week. So what do you guys think? Please leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think. See your beautiful faces back here later today, guys. Peace out. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.